Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our weekly webinar series. This has been sponsored by the New England Regional Defense Industry Collaboration, NERDIC, and CCAT has been the administrator and great partner in these programs, and it's been great bringing these on a weekly basis. We've been doing these for several months. Great topics that really industry has been asking for. Today's topic is no different. Technology demonstration using AI technology to cross-train and upskill employees. So at this time, no matter what industry we talk with, it's about the workforce. It's about workforce development. How do we make our current workforce or workers more valuable or as valuable as possible to the company? So a great, very impactful and valuable topic today. We always have a great agenda, full agenda. We're going to be bringing on some of our partners shortly. Patricia Giavara, who is the interim director and CEO for the Vermont Manufacturing Extension Center, and Damon Devani, the IT and Technology Systems Analyst. They're going to come on in just a moment. The key presentation is going to be put on by Rebecca Peredo. She is the Director of Commercialization from Stanley X. I've heard multiple presentations by Rebecca, and we've had some great feedback, really interesting topic. And then we're going to be joined by some of our manufacturers who are going to give us some of their impressions about how this training and this particular platform is working. And then, of course, we're going to have some closing remarks, but also be able to answer some questions. This webinar is being recorded, and all the materials are actually going to be made available on the website after as well. So if you have any questions, you can also put them into the chat area. The New England Regional Defense Industry Collaboration, or NERDIC, it's something that I really wasn't aware of until more recently, really towards the end of last year. It gives us all an opportunity, all the New England states, to be coming together and really developing this extensive ecosystem that we've got here. We do things individually, different programs on a state level, but pulling together and really leveraging our resources. This is what NERDIC is about, connecting the manufacturing supply chain, but connecting them with the manufacturing extension programs, the MEPs around New England, with the educational institutions, with industry, and many other great assets, Berkshire Innovation Center, University of Maine Composite Center, and such. These partners are invaluable, and this is finally we're getting an effort around New England to pull us together. So we want to get a lot more traction, not just now, but in the coming years, about pulling together this group. And you can see this kind of ecosystem, how that's working here on this particular chart, and all the vast resources on the right side of the slide. So hopefully you'll stay engaged, spread the word, and we'll continue to develop NERDIC as a real great platform for industry and the manufacturing ecosystem in New England to all convene. So if we can go to the next slide. Our partners, valuable, intensely valuable to all this, the manufacturing extension programs. And Patricia and Damon, why don't you guys come on now? All these partners that you see on here are so important. The MEPs are really that front-facing, that first call that manufacturers often make to find out where are all these resources and programming. The MEPs are ideal for that. So, you know, Patricia, on your end, thank you again, and congratulations on being interim director and CEO now. I'm sure you're busy as ever, but you know, this particular program, we've talked again about workforce development. In this case, it's really about cross-training and upskilling of the workforce, making the existing workforce, particularly post-pandemic, as valuable to the company as possible. What is your role? What is the MEP's role in this, and how do you look at this particular program in conjunction to other ones you're running?
Right. Hi, Ron. Thanks for the congratulatory mention there, and it's good to be here again. Thanks to everyone at CCAT for hosting and coordinating all of these demo projects. So yeah, you know, VMEC is one of the New England manufacturing extension partnerships, and our role really and our mission is to strengthen and empower manufacturers. And we do this, you know, working on site with companies, and also awareness events and forums, as we call them, where we bring, you know, manufacturers together to talk about experiences they've had, which is similar to our webinar today. And of course, one of the big problems right now faced by manufacturers is hiring enough folks, getting them trained, also having enough resources to do the training. And the technologies that we're talking about today, the artificial intelligence enabled training tool, and also I would say next week, right, the augmented reality tools are ones that companies can use to increase the speed and effectiveness of their training resources. And these are in conjunction and not separate from other lean methodologies and quality systems that companies have in place, right? Like training within industry, job instruction. So those fundamentals of continuous improvement and systems, training systems that companies have in place are foundational. And then these additional technology tools can help to increase the speed and effectiveness of those systems that are already in place.
Yeah, Patricia, that's a great comment. And it's funny, you made a point, like the workforce, it's hard trying to find those skilled workers. So how do you take advantage or a greater advantage of the valuable workers that you have? And we always talk about technology adoption, things around additive machines or data and IoT, but applying that on the human resource side, the human capital side, is so intensely valuable. So it sounds like your comments, you're obviously knowledgeable of it. You're right in that game. So it's an important segment, and I know we're going to be talking about this for a long time. Now, Damon, you're the IT and technology systems analyst. So interesting from your point about the role you take, because this when somebody looks at this, they may say, hey, it's kind of daunting. AI, wow. I mean, that can be scary to companies if they don't understand it. So from your point, how do you get companies to understand it, and what is your role in applying these technologies to the supply chain companies you work with? Oh, you muted it.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay,
cool. Yeah, so AI is a daunting thing indeed, and that applies to pretty much all new facets of technology. NERDIC also has a separate program on AR, alternate reality, and other incredibly daunting title. So if you recall, years ago, you used to come home from trade conferences and business meetings with binders of demo discs for different softwares. No longer do we have demo discs, but this is a similar thing wherein we have all these new technologies. No one knows what they do at some of these companies, and so they can sign up for programs like this, and they do a fantastic job of introducing new ideas and technologies in an iterative way. When you hear an intimidating thing like, oh, we're going to use artificial intelligence to enhance your business processes, and we're going to use data from your shop floor using sensors, that can be a bit shaking your boots type stuff. But if you have the opportunity to hop in with some experts, you have representatives from the companies themselves, from consultants like Vmc and others, then you have the opportunity to hop in. You can learn about your business as you learn about these technologies, because you're asking new questions. These technologies are prompting new ideas and stimulating, that part of your brain in the business that you may not be using every day. It's asking, these new questions, posing new problems, and whether you choose to move forward with a particular software or service or technology or provider, that's not really the important part. The important part is you went through a journey of learning more about yourself, learning more about your processes, your workflow. And I think there's incredible value there. Everything from those old demo discs to 30-day free trials to guided professional tours like these. I think there's incredible value there, and the efficacy is writing on the wall for those of you who have had the chance to go through that exploration.
That's great points, Damon. And I know Patricia and you, at VMec, it's how do you make it understandable to the company so it's not daunting? How do you have a path of least resistance to get them to really understand it and then adopt? I mean, that's what it's about. But you brought up all those demo discs, things like that in the past. One thing that's important, important message is, I know CCAT spends a lot of time looking at different types of technologies, and I'm sure you do as well. When we put on webinars or demonstrations or trainings, what we've done is we've sifted through a lot of stuff that maybe isn't as relevant, isn't as far enough along, or isn't maybe as important or valuable to a company. So the important message is the ones like that we're working with, such as DeepHow, we've looked at and said, hey, this is meaningful. You guys really need to take a look. So as they look at this, I guess we'd call it an evolutionary process. This is not, none of this happens overnight. We want to make sure the supply chain through VMEC and CCAT and the others understands that the stuff that we bring to them is after a lot of work, upfront work, that they can have some confidence that what we're showing them, in fact, is valuable and isn't just kind of stuff floating out there that's going to waste their time. You agree with that? That's something you guys are doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I mentioned the 3 tiers in my head, the demo disc to the 30-day free trial to a guided tour like this, it's the equivalent of going, I'm going to just keep diving into metaphors, it's the equivalent of going and getting like flowers at the grocery store to something like this, which is a boutique. We have expertise, we have hands on deck ready to help whomever is signing on. So while the end or the starting idea is the same of having a demo, the methodology and the quality are really where you get particular value with this program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
and we certainly want to thank the companies that were willing to jump in and give this a try, Aerodynamics and Hubble and Darn Tough. When other companies, not everybody is as willing, to take that step, even on a technology that's been vetted to some extent, right? So it just helps to open the eyes of other manufacturers that they too may be, willing to try some things and step out there. So thank you to the companies that did take this opportunity to test out a new technology.
Yeah, Patricia, that's so important. Getting some of these companies to not really so much adopt, but at least start trying it out, and the feedback from their peers, we know is what's the most valuable thing. It's going to be great hearing from those companies that you mentioned in just a little bit. So, but thank you, Patricia and Damon, for getting on and spending the time. And I guess at this point, coming off of what we just talked about, we'll bring on Rebecca Peredo, who's the Director of Commercialization with Stanley X. And, Rebecca's the one that brought all this to us. It took us, boy, Rebecca, I don't know, it's been a lot of months now, and you got us to kind of understand. I didn't up front. It took me a lot of time to hearing you, and you're the one that's really taken this down to a level where companies can understand something that's actually really complex, but maybe not so complex for them, and has great upside. So, thank you again for coming on. I'll bounce off and I'll let you get right into your presentation, and looking forward to seeing the presentation and hearing your remarks.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for that introduction as well. Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca Peredo, Director for Commercialization for Stanley X. And Stanley X is the innovations hub of Stanley Black & Decker. And I represent the talent solution space. That's an area of focus for Stanley X, because as we heard earlier, that is a big challenge for a lot of companies in the manufacturing space, in the construction space, in the supply chain. Any skilled trades work, there is a challenge with being able to find talent, train them up to perform to the standards that we have, and then also to be able to share knowledge when our most seasoned experts get ready to retire. So that is where our focus is, and we'll be talking about the DeepHow solution that we brought in. I'll give you a quick overview. We have a short 4-minute demo to illustrate what the program or the platform is. I'll talk about the program, but really the meat of our conversation today is hearing from our partner participants. And that is so valuable for us to be able to hear from them real world examples of how they have tested it out, how they've tried it, their unfiltered feedback. So that is what this program was designed to do. We can go to the next slide. For those who are maybe new to these webinars or not very familiar with how this was organized, I wanted to give you a quick reminder. The program goals were really to create this bridge between providers of technology and real manufacturing companies. So we're really focused on how do we get more advanced technologies in manufacturing. Well, first we've got to try them out and test them and validate that they can work in those real world environments, to take them out of the lab, right? Take them off the page and put them in the hands of real people who can test it out in a real environment. Wanted to also make this new and emerging technology accessible to small to mid-sized companies for that real world practical testing. And we also wanted to create this two-way authentic feedback loop between the providers of technology and manufacturing folks. So those were the goals, and those were the things that really excited us at Stanley X to want to participate, because that is valuable to hear from actual users of technology, and hear some of the challenges that they might be experiencing, and be able to create solutions that really add value, again, in the real world, and not just look great and shiny new piece of technology that can sit on a shelf, but things that will actually work for real people. In terms of the partner roles and commitments, there were no passive observers. Every group had a part to play in this program. So we're very much appreciative to the NERDIC team, to the CCAT team for providing the sponsorship, administration, and helping us find and match to the right partners. And definitely wanted to thank our partners, Aerodynamics, Darn Tough, and Hubble Water Heaters, for taking that step, for spending the time, for devoting the resources and time to learn a new technology, to test it out, to apply it in their environments, and to provide some of their feedback. And from our part, we provided access to the technology, structured a training program that lasted about 60 days, a little bit more, to walk them through how they could leverage a technology like this in their environment, give them training, and also support them along the way. To move on to the next slide, which I think we can roll straight into playing the demo video. It takes about 4 minutes.
We've all been there, scrambling to train the new guy when our most knowledgeable employee is on vacation, busy with another task, or has moved on to a different project. DeepHow helps capture that experience and knowledge from your expert employee and quickly transfers it to the new guy or to your next generation workforce. DeepHow is powerful AI technology that fits in the palm of your hand. You don't need any special equipment. Simply open the app on your smartphone when you're ready to document a workflow. Aim the camera and press record. Now perform the task as if you were explaining it to an apprentice.
Doing a die swap here. We're going to shut the machine down, pull the strip out.
When you're finished recording, Stephanie automatically uploads it to your private, secure domain where you can access it from a computer. Stephanie first transcribes the audio, allowing you the ability to edit this written text if you need to. Next, Stephanie analyzes the content and breaks down your workflow into a series of steps, helping you to quickly create a how-to manual for the task. You can adjust steps using simple click and drag controls, or add new steps for more granularity, depending on your audience. With simple, intuitive controls, you can create video yourself. No need for high-tech skills or additional software. Once Stephanie has organized your workflow, each step becomes its own module that can be moved around like building blocks, making it easy to keep process instructions up to date. Just record the step that has changed and add it in. Stephanie also translates your work instruction into several different languages at the touch of a button. Add detailed information right at the relevant step to save your viewer time by keeping all the information they need together. DeepHow makes transferring knowledge more efficient because it makes your training content easier to navigate and more digestible, breaking complex workflows down into a step-by-step how-to guide that can be accessed in multiple languages, just when it's needed. DeepHow allows you to document standard work and create instructional content 10 times faster than traditional video editing, allowing you to create a library of content at scale. This mobile reference library of knowledge can be accessed remotely, giving your technicians the tools to be safe and productive when on the job. DeepHow makes it easy to document knowledge that today lives in the heads of our most valuable employees. It allows you to convert that experience into institutional knowledge and document learnings that can be transferred project to project. It makes your A-team available 24/7 to answer questions and provide how-to guides to your workforce in a format they're already familiar with. Engaging training video content is ready in minutes, not weeks, using current resources regardless of their technology ability, all at a fraction of the cost of traditional video production or professional trainers. Learn how with DeepHow.
Awesome. So we can go to the next slide, and I wanted to highlight what makes a solution like DeepHow attractive to manufacturing, to trades, skilled trades. Maybe I'll do this from the perspective of the manufacturing companies, right? So hourly employees, production staff, they don't have the flexibility to be able to carve out time in their day to sit in front of a learning management system, a computer, and learn how to do their jobs. They're not really, at least our new generation that's entering the workforce, they're not really very keen on learning from printed binders and manuals. That a lot of our standard operating procedures are maybe documented on paper, if they're documented. So one, it helps the tradesperson, the new tradesperson, learn their jobs in a format that is the new way of learning, and in micro-learning format. So it allows you to break down your large workflows into smaller steps and make it searchable. So it's almost like a YouTube experience where they're looking for specific, how do I do work on this particular machine, or maybe even down to a specific step, and be a 2-minute answer, instead of having to take a class or spend an hour learning the full task when they just had one question. So it allows them to search very quickly to find the answer they need and get back to work to increase their productivity and be able to continue their work. Also, I don't know a lot of manufacturing companies that have a videographer on staff whose main job is to create videos and use larger scale or fancier video equipment and software and technology to edit those videos. So this makes it accessible. Technology like DeepHow makes video content creation accessible to the average company that might not have that expertise. If you can type an email, you can use a system like DeepHow because it uses AI to automate a lot of those tasks that previously required human expertise to do. It also, as we are expanding our net, widening our net to recruit more individuals to join the skilled trades, maybe diversity and language support is something that we also require to be able to ensure that our team knows what to do regardless of the language that they're most comfortable learning in. We're able to provide standard content, use AI to translate that content into a language that maybe our employees are more comfortable. So again, we're using AI to do these tasks that were a little bit out of our reach in terms of cost or in terms of expertise. And it allows you to create very specific training, not only access general content of how to operate a drill or a tape measure or something like that, but really specific to how do you load the material on this particular machine that needs to be done on this shift. So very specific to your business. And the third and the last piece is that it is cloud-based, so less infrastructure to maintain and manage on the technology side. It's very scalable as well, so you can grow with a company. So those are the reasons that a solution like DeepHow was attractive, and we were able to get some folks on in the program to actually want to test it out. I won't spend too much time on this, but at the start of our initiative, we did have a planning session with our partners to really understand what it is they're looking to do, because even though we love technology, we think it's great, we want to make sure that it's practical. It isn't magic. There is some pre-work in order to get this to accomplish the goals that they wanted to accomplish. And we can kind of talk through these as the presenters will kind of go over their objectives that they had in place, they had in mind as they started this trial. But a lot of the objectives were around being able to document work that today is not documented. Today lives in somebody's head, and they have to really spend a lot of one-on-one time to be able to train their new staff coming on board. So knowledge transfer was a big initiative, as well as the complexity of tasks that are not well suited to writing them down or documenting them on paper. Video is the best format for some of these complex tasks. And so those were some of the objectives that they went into this program looking to accomplish. Let's get to the main show, the floor show here. And the first partner who will be presenting will be Aerodynamics. So I'll turn it over to Emerson to talk through their trial.
Thanks, Rebecca. So just a quick overview of our company, who I am. I'm Emerson Bilodeau. I'm the Director of Quality and Engineering here. We're a metal finishing company located in Seabrook, New Hampshire. We have about 40 employees, only one facility. So woman-owned, full-service electroplating finishing company specializing in aerospace, military, and defense industries. Our issues that we face with training come from non-standardized tribal knowledge and a laborious new hire process. So we have a number of experienced, what we like to call experts in the building, who don't necessarily have enough time to document and everything, a little bit more old school. They know all the answers to all the questions in their head, but don't necessarily share it willingly or unwillingly. So that, combined with having several of these experts on the floor, sometimes the message is communicated differently. Sometimes people learn things differently. So we don't really have a standard way of teaching a new employee a new task, especially if it's either undocumented or we just have the document for it, but there's 1,000 different ways to do it out on the floor. Another issue that we've had was when we get new hires in, we spend a couple hours trying to get them up to speed as best we can, and we try and do that before they reach the production area. One, from a quality standpoint, and two, you don't want someone out on the floor who doesn't know what they're doing yet. So that's a very intensive process that takes someone away from doing something else for a couple hours when we hire a new employee. So we can go to the next one. So again, our use case summary, we have non-standardized tribal knowledge and some laborious new hire procedures. We don't really have any sort of way to quantify that, but it's just difficult when you have someone on the floor who's a master at what they're doing to kind of take them away from doing something that can positively impact the company to try and train a new person, and sometimes that's just difficult. So when we use DeepHow, is able to help us kind of download that knowledge from those experienced operators, and hopefully we'll be able to distribute it company-wide. So the things that they know, everyone will know. It's also helped us create training material for any sort of critical processes and new equipments so that people are disrupted less often. There was a situation the other day when I was in a meeting, someone didn't know how to use a piece of equipment that we needed to use in order to get some product out the door. So I had to stay a little bit later to make sure that product left. After we take the video using DeepHow, we'll theoretically be able to just have the person watch the video, they'll be able to get the product out, and then everyone can go home on time. So also for our onboarding training, we expect that it'll probably take 1/3 of that time out. So someone who has to administer that training will now be free to do other things for the business. And so we have a sample video here, just a counting scale that we use, just an operation that, again, something that I would get pulled out into our quality department all the time to show people how to use this scale. Now we just have the video that we can show people instead.
All right, so we're going to show you how to use the Vmc Counting Scale. So this scale is used for some of the higher weight parts, a little less precise. You don't want to do anything that's too small or it won't register on the scale. So it's really good for the big bulky parts where you have a couple hundred or are difficult to count. So first step is you want to make sure that's level. So you look there and you make sure the bubble is inside the circle. So this one's all level, good to go. Next thing you want to do with anything on the scale, you want to zero it. So if you press this button, that's the 0. You can see that the weight goes to all zeros there. So then you grab a container, preferably.
So I think that was a little laggy just from a communication standpoint, but you can see how I was able to kind of go through all the steps on how to use the scale. DeepHow applies subtitles to it, so if you're in an area that's a little bit more difficult to hear, you can read it. Those subtitles can also be translated. We have a couple of employees who primarily speak Spanish but can understand English, so it'll just be a little bit easier for them to be able to effectively use any equipment or know, the proper procedures for training. So some key things that we took out of this is DeepHow is really useful for general operating procedures for equipment, things like that, things that are really regimented. You have the first step, second step, third step. We also found out that it's really important to put in the work before you start recording. If you plan out a good shot, you script out what you want to say, it makes a really good informative video. We have a number of pieces that are ITAR regulated that we had to make sure that we didn't record incidentally and publish for obvious reasons. So like in that video, we had to use batteries instead of actual parts just to make sure that we didn't accidentally show something that we weren't supposed to. We also found out that sometimes something is better than nothing. So right now, we're trying to download all of the tribal knowledge from our more senior employees, and sometimes they only have time to show us a little bit. So we take what we can get as we can get it, and then with DeepHow, we're able to kind of take those sections and kind of piece them together to create the workflow that we actually want.
So thank you, Emerson. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll move on to our next company, our next partner, and I'll turn it over to Jeff from Darn Tough.
Thanks, Rebecca, and good afternoon, everybody. Those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are a premium outdoor and lifestyle sock manufacturer, Vermont-based. We've been in existence since, well, the company has existed for 40 odd years, but Darn Tough was a brand that existed since 2004 when one of the founder's sons, Rick, decided he was not going to outsource anything, go offshore or anything like that. And we've been solid in central Vermont for the past 40 odd years. Great place to work. I just noticed reviewing the slides ahead of time that employee count has actually gone up by 25 in the last 10 days, and that is indicative of one of the challenges we face. We're currently running at 377 employees. So our challenges, being an old family-owned and family-run company, our on-the-job training relied solely on paper resources to support that face-to-face training in front of video machines. And so moving with the times, we want to transition away from those resources and develop a digital format to assist in reducing training time, but also those resources would be more, our new hires would be more receptive to those digital resources. That was one of our goals. But perhaps the main contextual goal for us, number two, as you see on the slide, we are experiencing and have done since I've been with the company, we're experiencing greater than 20% growth year, and which is a tremendous situation to be in, obviously. All the books are full. But for us in the training team, that presents a challenge of 55 new hires. This actually, by October, we need 55 new hires trained and ready to go in the facility. That's a significant challenge for a very small training team. And the other goal we identified from the outset was succession planning in terms of our technical group. Department of technicians working on 3 shifts and their line management. An aging population at the top, and the danger is that knowledge will exit the company when these folks retire in a few years' time. So that was one of our goals. If you could move on to the next slide. So, as you, I hope, would imagine, in a very challenging environment in terms of expansion and hiring and sales demand.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Jeff.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. We're getting some feedback and some folks in the chat. It's you're kind of cutting in a bit. It's a bit garbled. Is there some way to kind of clean up a little bit of your audio? We're having some issues with the audio. I'm sorry to hop in like this.
Yeah, that's okay. Are you hearing background noise? Because that's part of my location.
It's like, yeah, now I'm here. It's like an echo, and it's very it's a bit garbled, I would say. I'm sorry, I can't describe it any better, but it's not particularly clear. So I'm sorry to take it like into this part of the presentation, but
no, that's okay. Is that coming through any clearer?
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit better, but we may have to do with, I think, what we've got. That's maybe a little bit better, but it's still not ideal. Why don't you keep going? Why don't we, if you can, we'll just make the best of it, but if that's what we have, I don't know. Yeah, that's what we'll have to work with.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, Ron, about that. Is that any clearer at all? I'm not sure what control I have over that.
Okay, yeah, we may have to just work with it. It is, it's hard to understand it. I'm sorry to do that. It seems like there's some sort of feedback occurring with the audio.
Okay, it was okay at the beginning of the webinar when we came on, but
no. Does he have both speakers? Do you have? Is there 2 speakers on for some? Is it? You have the mic on, but I don't know if it's picking up something on your computer. So we'll let everybody go because of the nature of time. But thank you. I'm sorry to pop in like that.
So you want me to carry on or not possible?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Why don't you carry on? Keep going.
Okay. I thought it was my accent for a minute there, but obviously not. So our use case summary on the left-hand side of the slide here, our current living training activities encompass 80 hours of training per person and then a 90-day probationary period, during which time we have to train the employees to make 42 quality-related decisions related to our stocks in order to disposition of first quality, second quality, etc. So some of our problem statements or questions were, how do we train them to make those quality decisions? Is there a way of reducing training time when we have so many people to bring on board? And then addressing that third challenge related to our technicians, how do we actually start creating training resources? So, a challenging context, let's say. So what we actually did in relation to the quality decision-making criteria, we have created some category-specific videos addressing that decision-making process. And then we've also gone ahead with creating instructional videos for our machine operators in both sides of the house, both knitting and finishing departments. And we've gathered some subjective feedback from trainees and all concerned operators and management around those things. What we haven't been able to address in the scope of this pilot was our technical group and their need for training resources, succession planning, and knowledge retention. So that remains to be a future goal. So if we could run that sample video, or at least a snippet of it, it will show one of the outcomes of this pilot.
Today we're going to review how to inspect a sock. We're going to start by the cuff of the sock, flipping it inside out, looking at our drop stitches, putting some pressure, making sure they're all intact. You're also going to be looking at your size and your Vermont USA. Make sure there's no stitches missing. And then from that point, you're going to stick your hand in, spreading your hand to assess any defects that could be in the sock. Then you're going to be checking your toe seam, putting pressure in one corner, and checking the entire length of it to make sure there are no missing or loose drop stitches. You're going to check your gore.
So that was an introduction to inspecting a sock, which is a fundamental activity for our machine operators. We have 270 knitting machines fitting out socks every 5 minutes, and they are all inspected along by that sort of process in that video. We see a lot of value in having that video to review on the floor with new hires. It can be looped onto our terminals at the end of each set of machines on the production floor, and it's going to be a source of continual review. Now, some of the things that we learned throughout this pilot are listed on the bottom here. First of all, preparation is key. At the beginning of this webinar, I think it was Damon and Ron used the word daunting. And I'd like to reiterate that. We don't have in-house videographers. We don't have people on the training team with video skills and editing skills, that sort of thing. And also our subject matter experts are expert in their subject, obviously, but they're not actors. Some of them are not comfortable in front of the camera, etc. So preparation is key with this technology. And also focus is vital. We experience sort of a divide and conquer dilemma, if you like. We certainly need to tighten up our focus on use cases and workflows and procedures that we want to capture. And we fell foul of that a little bit in the early stages of the pilot. Since then, we've resharpened our focus and gaining good traction with technology. We want to highlight that time is essential in using this. There's a lot of preparation time, capture time, editing time involved. And in our currently challenging work context and environment, we found it difficult to have dedicated work assignments in relation to this and carve out time specific for this particular project because there are so many other things that require the attention of the training team. So that was a little difficult for us. We have experienced and received a lot of positive feedback throughout the company, whether it's from operators who are viewing this for the first time and giving us feedback on its value, to our middle management, line supervisors, and our upper management as well. We identify a wide range of opportunities for using DeepHow technology within the company, whether that's in a maintenance department or not manufacturing operations department. It can even be used for a finance team, where video can be created and to look at that processing. So we see a lot of value in extending the use of this technology throughout the company. One of the outcomes that we've identified, we would like to continue to refine our current work, continue gaining experience with it, and address the challenges that we've encountered as a company, not in relation to this technology, but addressing the wider challenges that we face as not. So it's been a pleasure, and it's been a real learning experience for all concerned, and we're looking forward to the next phase.
Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate that. If we could just pop back to the slide before, I just wanted to let our viewers know that if you have your smartphone handy, I know there was a little bit of a lag in the streaming of the video, but if you have your iPhones handy, open up the camera app and point it at the QR code, you will then be able to see the video on your own mobile devices. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case the streaming doesn't come through very well. All right, we can go to the next slide, and I'll invite Samantha from Hubble Water Heaters to turn her camera and microphone on. Hi, Samantha, take it away.
Hi, Rebecca. All right, well, to introduce myself, my name is Samantha Cherico. I work for Hubble Water Heaters in Stratford, Connecticut. We currently have 84 employees at our location here in Stratford, and we provide solutions to heat water. We offer an extensive range of water heating products, from turnkey modular packages for commercial, industrial, food service, marine, offshore, and naval markets. One of the reasons why we were excited to join this trial with DeepHow is to help us to get our processes documented better. We're looking for ways to create effective and impactful work instructions for our employees by utilizing tenured employee knowledge that, as both of the other presenter panelists have shown, is sometimes a little bit harder to extract from employees that are so tenured and have had that tribal knowledge and getting it dispersed to the incoming workforce. So we'll jump into our use case, specifically from our perspective that we were going about utilizing DeepHow, and that was facing a situation where we don't have any trained staff to complete a product, or we lack having trained backup staff. It results in delays of products shipping out the door, opportunities for potential waste and potential damage to facilities depending on if machinery or equipment's being utilized. So we really wanted to utilize this platform to be able to, again, capture the knowledge from our tenured employees and create training videos to improve training times and, again, just make more impactful work instructions. So we did take a sample video here of setting pressures down in our test lab.
Step 1, cut off button side of rivet. save these pieces. We'll need these later. These are garbage. Attach valve to test tank.
So that was just a sample there of one of the training videos that we had taken more or less as a first run of this. Like, to similar point as Jeff was saying last, our team is definitely not actors, and this setup of this, we definitely started utilizing a little bit more in planning purposes to get those set up. But it was a great way to utilize and pull the knowledge from our tenured employees to know what they're doing in their day-to-day. It also highlighted ways that we can improve processes that we're seeing, capturing that on video, then analyzing it, working through it. Is that really the way we want to be handling this process, or do we want to make process improvements to that? So as well as documenting, we're also considering, process changes and considerations for the future by utilizing this. Again, documenting that tenured knowledge is really key for us to ensuring that business continues as usual, regardless of the person sitting in that seat or who's in that day. Just allows things to be moving as smoothly as possible in tough times.
Thank you so much, Samantha. So I want to extend a great thank you to all of our teams that tested it out, tried it out, and got some real world hands-on experience. I would like to also invite you all to turn your cameras on, Jeff, Samantha, and Emerson, to join a panel Q&A in case any of our viewers have any questions here. But maybe I can start with maybe some, or actually, Christy, if you have any questions that you have already, or I can throw one out there.
Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you, Jeff, Emerson, and Samantha, for sharing your experiences with the DeepHow platform. We did have a question come through commenting and appreciating your observation earlier on, Rebecca, about how video is really a helpful learning tool, especially nowadays. However, also recognizing that printed materials have a value as well. So the question was, does DeepHow have the capability to create printed work instructions from the videos?
That is a great question. So what you can do today, although it's a little bit clunky, so video is the primary format that DeepHow supports, but you are able to copy out the transcript of your video and put that into a text document if you wanted to do that. I definitely appreciate the comment that video isn't the only format. There are other formats that exist, and certainly we think that this can augment, not replace, what you already have. So being able to print out a link or print out a QR code from the platform and put it into your printed documents is a great way to bridge the gap between between printed material and digitized content, to be able to augment what you already have and provide a couple of different formats for your learner to find what works best for them. Thank you for that question.
Great, thank you. And I just saw another comment come through about how this technology may also be helpful not only on the shop floor, but for office tasks as well and other things like that. So could you comment on the ability for DeepHow to utilize a screen capture versus just direct video?
Absolutely. There are a couple of different ways to add content onto your platform. One is through the app, which you saw demonstrated in the presentations. The others are if you already have video content, you can upload that existing content onto the platform as well. If you have an MP4 video, you can use that existing content. And the third way is to record your screen. So you can, if there is some software process that you wanted to document, you could have the screen record feature and activate that on DeepHow, perform your task, voice out what it is you're doing, and it will record your screen, and then we'll flow through the same process of then, that is now content that can be edited, transcribed, translated, bucketed out into micro learning modules.
Perfect, thank you. I'm not seeing any other comments at the moment, but certainly if anyone in the audience has any additional questions, please feel free to send them to us in the questions area. And I'll turn it back to you, Rebecca, if you wanted to share any additional questions or pose any additional questions for the group.
Sure. I actually wanted to have some real talk, if we can. Some of the challenges that our team, Jeff, Emerson, Samantha, and your teams that use the platform. Maybe some of the things that you felt needed a little bit of extra time on your side, or a little extra focus. What were some of the challenges you experienced?
I don't mind starting it.
I can
go ahead, Emerson.
A little bit. Sorry. Like I kind of said in my presentation, or at least my section, the challenge is really trying to stage everything so that you get a good work instruction or a good procedure. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that you're not, taking the same video 3 different times because you forgot to show, this step, or in our case, included a part that you shouldn't be showing. So it's just really important to take some time before you hit record, just to make sure you know what you want to talk about. You have a demo piece available to show if you need to, just to kind of make it as robust as possible.
Thank you. Jeff, you're on mute.
I'd like to echo those comments by Emerson. I think the prep work is vital, especially when we don't possess those skills on our team, initially. The prep work and scripting it out, running through with the subject matter experts who are going to be in front of the camera, ensuring that whole production process for the video is all in place. It's a steep learning curve. That's what we fell down on in the first few days of the project, and started to fine tune that and get better at it as we went. Was my sound okay on that one? I have made an adjustment.
Yes, it definitely is a lot better. Thank you, Jeff. And Samantha, did you?
I definitely would agree with both Jeff and Emerson here. As far as when you're staging the videos down on your floor, preparation and being prepared, and really thinking about all of the different aspects, maybe doing one run through, taking some time, reviewing the video completely unedited, and just seeing what different perspectives might be more helpful is definitely something to take into consideration. I didn't really speak to this during my part of the presentation, but to the comment of utilizing the screen share and capturing work instructions on your computer, that was something that while I was doing this, I was also doing kind of quick instructions for other team members, since I was either wrapped up with one project and working on this, and would capture it and just send it over to them, and they were completing these tasks right away. So that was a huge impact for us from that side of things. And I did want to just highlight that, because I do think that the benefits are great. You can have a user manual for how to use software, but to hear somebody walk through it and to see them doing it just as they would to show you in person, it really, I think, speaks volumes to how quickly you can get somebody trained and caught up to speed with a computer application.
Thank you for sharing that, Samantha. I appreciate it. I know we're hitting up against time, so I'll turn it back to Christy. Thank you to the team who presented today. I really appreciate your time throughout the trial.
Yes, thank you so much, Rebecca, and thank you to all. We did have a couple more questions come in, but as you said, we are short on time, so I'm just going to address one of them. The question was, again, you guys are talking about preparation before creating the video, and then the person is wondering if any of you were using TWI, job instruction, and work breakdown sheets, thinking that that might be a way to organize the training steps prior to shooting the video. So wondering if anybody might be able to comment on that.
Yes, we're inserting TWI methodology into our video production. But internally we've had a couple of groups go through that training process, TWI job instruction. So it's a case of syncing those two activities, really getting the people who've been through those processes involved in the video production will maximize our efforts there. But it does give you that prep work. It does give you a framework for preparing the speakers and the script and the video framework, really.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Rebecca, Jeff, Emerson, and Samantha for your time today and for presenting about the DeepHow platform and your experiences with using that. So with that, we're going to transition. I know we're a little bit over time, so we'll make these next few slides quick. But I'm just going to go over a few additional opportunities as well as share some upcoming events in the NERDIC program as well. So there are continued opportunities if you are a New England defense supplier interested in participating in more demonstration projects. So if you have had at least 5% of sales in one of the last 5 years to the Department of Defense, you would be eligible to apply. The goal is to have projects that could be presented in a forum such as this one, but we understand that there may be restrictions there. So if you aren't able to do that, we can work with you to identify parts of your project that might be able to be shared. So we encourage you to apply on our website, ccat.us/nerdic/apply, and more information can be found there as well. Specifically, we are continuing to look for projects companies who might be interested in participating in the generative design additive manufacturing demonstration project. We've now extended the deadline through July 31st, the end of this month. So if your company is exploring additive or considering exploring additive, we definitely encourage you to apply and work with us to see how we can demonstrate how additive technologies may be a fit for your organization. And then, of course, our topic of training today, of the session today, the DeepHow platform. There is another opportunity if you or perhaps another company that you know might be interested in participating in a 60-day pilot of the DeepHow platform. We are accepting applications through August 20th for another cohort that will be beginning in September. So if you are interested and intrigued by what you've heard today, we definitely encourage you to apply so that you can try the DeepHow platform out for yourself. And again, on our website, all the information is available, and you can always reach out to us if you have questions as well. We are continuing our demonstration presentations throughout the summer. Next week, we invite you to join us to hear from Speargen and learning about augmented reality use on the shop floor, and as well as our 3 sessions in August, which will be focused on generative design and additive manufacturing pilot projects that were run as well. And then finally, the last opportunity that we wanted to share with the group is an opportunity from the U.S. Air Force, who's looking to expand their supply chain capacity for small turbine engines. So whether you are already a defense supplier or perhaps you're interested in becoming one, you can visit sep.ccat.us for more information and to apply for this opportunity as well. Excellent, and I just want to say thank you again to everyone who joined us today. Thank you to Rebecca and the DeepHow team, as well as Aerodynamics, Hubble, and Darn Tough for your time here today. We again appreciate you sharing your time with us this afternoon. So if anyone has any additional questions, again, you're always welcome to reach out to us here at CCAT, and we'd be happy to help get those answered for you. There will be a quick survey that will show up after this webinar ends that we would appreciate your feedback on. But otherwise, thank you again for everyone for joining, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.